Hi there, Happy New Year. Malcolm here with my 84th Booktube video on my December wrap-up. Spent some time with the family, so didn't read quite so much as I hoped to, but managed 6 books. So let's get cracking. First up is a book I started in November but ran out a month, and that is The Tomb of Hercules by Andy McDermott, book 2 of the Wild Chase series. Nina Wild is an archaeologist who finds unlikely locations, and her bodyguard Eddie Chase fights off all the baddies who want to use these set locations for their own nefarious schemes. So cue lots of Indiana Jones style adventures with huge dollops of James Bond unlikely escapes and chases. In fact, I believe both franchises are actually mentioned in this book as they're going through the various relatable activities. I've read a number of the books from this series now, and sorry to say this is so far the weakest of the lot. It was still enjoyable, there's still lots of fun action in it, but about 630 pages long. I would say it was probably twice as big as it needed to have been. You know, there's one twist, perhaps too many. The fact that it was exactly the same twist as the previous twist, it just felt tacked on and drawn out. Also saw it coming a mile away, thanks to the first twist. And there wasn't much in the way of archaeology going on at all. There was a bit at the end, but that was about it. Like I said, not the best, but I didn't hate it. It was worth reading. And after that, I finished reading DC Comics Dark Horse Comics Aliens, which sees various heroes from the DC world fighting the aliens, and in one case the Predators as well. This actually collects 5 of the graphic novels, so Batman Aliens, Batman Aliens 2, Batman and Superman vs. Aliens and Predator, and Wildcats Aliens. I enjoyed Batman Aliens 1. Batman goes into the deepest jungle, finds a temple and a bunch of mercenaries, and they all stumble across a bunch of aliens. Certain similar hallmarks to the Aliens vs. Predator movie, but it was actually okay as a story, quite enjoyable. Had some pretty decent artwork in there. Following that was Batman Aliens 2, graphic novel I've already got and read before. And in this one, the aliens have found the way to Gotham and are inhabiting the underground system. There's also a corporation conspiracy involving them as well. That was a good fun one with an interesting reveal and the same level of artwork. Next up was Batman Superman vs. Aliens and Predator. This was perhaps a little bit overly complicated for what it was. I'd read Superman Aliens and really enjoyed that, but I'd not read either of Batman's or Superman's encounter with Predators before. And as this story follows those two as well, I felt a slightly disadvantaged. I mean, it was okay, but Superman was all powerful and unstoppable. They did have Lois Lane running around to be vulnerable and needed saving a lot. It was a bizarre art style. I'm not sure if I quite liked it or not, but it was okay. And then finally it was Wildcats Aliens. I don't know anything about Wildcats. Having read this story, I still don't really know anything about Wildcats. There seemed to be a sort of X-Men bunch of people. It was a space station under siege story, and those go down okay. You know, they kept referring to characters, living and dead, who I didn't know who they were. They discover the body of somebody or other, and it's, oh no, it's whoever it is. And it's like, so, who's that? But it was alright. Base under siege, can't go wrong with those. But on the whole, I did enjoy the whole thing, and would say it's worth buying. Although I've already got 1/3 of this entire book, so I'll probably prefer to just get the Batman Aliens Volume 1. After that, I read World War Z by Max Brooks. I've already done a video for this one, so I'll leave a link to that below if you want to go and see what I thought of this. And after I read this, I then read Wintersmith by Terry Pratchett. This is the 3rd book of the Tiffany Aching series from the Discworld, and I read this to my children. In this one, Tiffany, a witch in training, got carried away during the festival bringing in the winter and joined in the dance. The anthropomorphic personification that is the Wintersmith, who's used to seeing the other anthropomorphic personification season of the Summer Lady, sees Tiffany as the Summer Lady, and things start going a bit wrong weather-wise. The weather gets colder and Tiffany gets a bit more summery. So as the Wintersmith learns what it means to be a man, Tiffany learns what it means to be in the wrong place at the wrong time and having to deal with the consequences of such. At the same time, she's also trying to continue her lessons as a witch while managing another witch who is way over her head in her new role. Thankfully to help her, she has a bunch of pixies at her disposal. These tiny blue men enjoy fighting and shouting and fighting and drinking and fighting and stealing and fighting, but they feel responsible to her and will help out when they can in their own special way. A lot of fun. The antics of the characters got my boys rolling around the floor in laughter. Not just the Feagles this time, sometimes it were the adults as well. Terry Pratchett has a brilliant way of putting things, very witty, but very true to the human way of thinking and being. Buy it. And next up, I then read Subterranean by James Rowlands. Deep under the Antarctic, something is discovered. People go missing. Another research team is sent down to find what happened to the first research team. Yes, it's that plot. So lots of caves, lots of mystery, lots of military men with guns for some reason. A baddie who's clearly up to no good. And an impossible discovery that's going to change everything. The baddie was not subtle, he was made pretty clear from almost the start. There was no big reveal as to, oh my god, it's you. It's like, we knew it was you all along. The amazing discovery was, I'm not quite sure what to think about that. Compared to other stories of what's been found underground, I wouldn't say it's any more or less ridiculous. But it is what it is. But it did split up the story with those in the new place and those in the base camp and those in between somewhere, all running from stuff, fighting each other, or trying to just survive the elements. This was a lot of fun. I did enjoy it a lot and would buy it if I hadn't already. And finally I read Stormfront by Jim Butcher. This is book 1 of the Dresden Files, a book series I keep seeing on the library shelves and bookshelves, and I always wanted to give it a try, but I never saw the first one, or even knew what the first one was. This is the first one, so I read it. This is set in almost our own world, with the one difference in that magic is very much a thing. It's still ignored and seen as a ridiculous notion, but the guy on the front cover is Harry Dresden. He's a PI, and he's a wizard. And during his day when he's not dealing with crank calls and fake people phoning up asking, "Are you really a wizard?" he embarks on cases of finding lost things. In this case it's a missing husband, but also the police want him to consult on some mysterious murders that have clearly been done by magic. Although not exactly their likeable character, he's an honest character who really looks out for the characters around him, who just seems to suffer one indignity to the next, as everything and anyone around him seem to be only being put there to make his life that little bit harder and more tricky, leading to some very, very funny scenarios that are just plainly ridiculous, but perfect. I think this is only the second urban fantasy book I've read, the first being Discount Armageddon by Shauna Maguire, and it's the second urban fantasy I've absolutely enjoyed every minute of it. Booktastic. Really eager to find book 2, Full Moon. So there we go, I hope you enjoyed that. Did you struggle to read anything over the Christmas period? But if you did manage to read anything, what was it? I'd love to know, so please leave your comments down below. And if you've got any thoughts on the books I've just shown you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. But as usual, if you have nothing nice to say, then please do keep to yourself. Thank you. And until next time, see you later.
Do the chairs, do the chairs, the chairs, the chairs, the chairs, the chairs. Ho, 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 oh, bugger, I've got to get the thing out of the way. Let's do it all over again. All over again, hey? Oh, dear. Oh, dear. What do we do now? Shut up. Shut it up. There we go. Right. With only 2 hours to do all this, let's get it on. Hello. Yeah, so totally red. So? Cause I read it, but the red is here. Okay, never mind. How's my hair look? How's my hair look? Is my hair okay? Is it okay? Right. Hello. Hi there. I haven't actually said what number this is. What is it? I'm 1,000,002, 1,003, 7, half of 7, 2.5, 3 4/4. Where's the page? Where's the finger? I got just a finger. There's number 84 for those who wanted to do that. So it's a December wrap-up. 84. So there we have it. That is it. That was what it was. Dinkies.